Gentleman standing in the rear by the door.
I was going to ask, what exactly is the small business exemption worth? Because I think we went through this in the report. It's not a whole lot on top of it.
Up to 10%.
Excuse me,
Yes.
you can go 10% of the average commercial property value and subtract that from the total value of that property. But, like with the residential exemption, it would increase the tax rate for all commercial and industrial property. So,
Yeah, that, their proportion doesn't change.
and the ones getting the exemption, it would be a higher tax rate, but a certain amount of value, say 900,000, you could subtract $90,000 from the value of that property, but the balance will be computed at a higher tax rate. The
Okay.
legislature in its wisdom came up with that. And again, it's gotta be certified by DET. And if you have a small mom-and-pop type business and you do not report to DET for insurance or unemployment insurance or whatever, then you're not on their list, and you don't qualify, so.
Thank you, Deanna. At this point, I'd like to close the public hearing and open it up for board discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
There's been a lot of good points made this evening, and I appreciate the business owners coming this evening. And I respect what you do for the community, but also the residents of this community are very charitable as well. Just like there was a Narissa fundraiser Friday evening, which a lot of businesses contributed to. There was a little school fundraiser, which some of the businesses contributed to. There was a whole host of residents that contributed to it as well. And where I sit, in terms of the equity argument that's been presented, I buy into it. You sit here right now, residentially, we're the fourth highest with the surrounding communities. We're the fifth lowest, the commercial base side of it. The shift as proposed by the Fiscal Advisory Committee only drops us down to the fifth highest residentially and raises us from the fifth lowest to the eighth lowest commercially. The number, I think, the true number you have to look at is the median number that was presented on page 9 of slide 9 that was presented. Not the mean number, but the median number. Although it's an increase to the commercial, industrial, personal property tax base, in my opinion, it's a significantly less of a burden than it is on the residents. Although the residents, if we choose to enact a dual or a split tax rate this evening, the residents would save, on average, $145. Well, to an elderly person, an elderly couple, that essentially pays their trash bill for the year. Something that was taken out of the real estate taxes and put onto a fee-based. For a parent of a child that plays in the athletic programs in town, that's a user fee to play a sport. That may be part of a bus fee to travel to and from school. That may be part of a fee that's for an activity within the school, a sport user fee. All those fees, is my understanding that there may no longer be a cap for a family, as there currently are. And we heard earlier, the number that's paid into those school user fees was it $500,000? It's over $500,000. That's a tremendous number that's paid by residents or also parents for this community. I hear what's being said by Mr. Hall and Mr. Pasquale, the businesses that are running illegally out of your homes. That's a separate issue from what we're discussing tonight. I agree it's an issue that needs to be aggressively pursued. Because, I agree with you, how do you compete against someone who's running an illegal business? Just like if you have a small business owner who's not reporting, that's illegal. All right? So they shouldn't be entitled to that exemption. They should be excluded. But I think tonight we talked about equity and fairness. I think it's a fair analysis that was done. If you compare to the other communities, I heard some talk that businesses may leave this community. one, I don't believe that that will happen, because where are you going to go? If you take a look at the analysis that was done, if you go to most any other community outside of North Reading, your taxes are going to increase as a commercial or industrial property owner. So where I sit, and I agree it's something that's probably should have been done a number of years ago, I'm going to vote in favor of this. Wastewater is something I've heard that if it was done 30, 40 years ago, the cost would have been $2 million. Now we're looking at a cost that's over $40 million. The Swan Pond School, I hate to bring it up because I know it's a sore subject, but if we had done the Swan Pond School back in the late 90s, the cost of the Swan Pond School would have been half of the rehab in the Bat Shelter School. And that's before any reimbursement for the Swan Pond School. So, I appreciate the business owners, appreciate what they do and how you contribute to the community. Where I sit, it's an equity argument that I buy into, and I will be voting in favor for a split tax rate.
Thank you. Mr.
Mr.
Bean?
Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A number of comments. I know we have to use figures and towns, et cetera, but I just have a problem sitting here comparing us to Burlington, Billerica, Wilmington, and Woburn, and just about anything you do. I just have a problem with that. I'm just giving you my comments on this. As I heard throughout the night, and it is true, the businesses do a lot for this town. They do a tremendous amount. They give donations. I know everybody I'm looking at here, I know that they do. And to put this extra, the way I look at this, from what I heard tonight, is that, and I'm not saying everybody feels this way, but it's almost like, should we punish the businesses with a higher tax rate because the residents will not pass an override? You didn't say that, but that's what I heard. Maybe I heard it wrong, but that's what I heard. You know, passing of an override would have nothing to do with this split tax rate, in my opinion. I don't believe it would have anything to do with it at all. Again, I made a note, Mr. Diamond was 100% correct. The businesses do a tremendous amount for the schools, for the youth, for just any organization at all in this town. And to pass this extra tax onto them, I just don't think that would be fair. I just really don't. There was a comment made that, you know, this is an emotional vote. Well, you know, I've been here so many years, there's really not a lot of emotion, and I'm not swayed by any special interest group. I want to be sure everybody understands that, because I have sat here in front of almost as many of you people and voted against it. And the vote may have been 4-1. So I am not swayed, I'm not pressured by special interest groups. I wonder if those people would feel the same way if they had the large numbers here asking us not to do it. I mean, certainly the special interest groups. There's always special interest groups. It's called democracy. It's not called trying to sway the Board of Selectmen or how someone's going to vote, or are they going to look bad. I don't care how I look. I'm up here to do a job, and I do it, and I do it fair. And I want to make that perfectly clear. It just bothers me that some people sit out there and think that we are not demonstrating leadership if we do not agree with them. That is the most ludicrous term I've ever heard in my life. Because we demonstrate leadership by disagreeing sometimes. I am going to vote against this. And I'm going to give you a prime example why that nobody has brought up. And I was kind of hoping it may go there, but it didn't. We had a meeting with the school committee, finance committee, big group meeting over at the school about a week or so ago. And one of my reasons for voting against this is the same point that Mr. Venezia brought up very well. We sat there, and there was a number of people in this audience who were in that audience and telling us to take benefits away from town employees. Mr. Venezia spoke, and he said, what I don't understand is you same people who are telling us to take benefits away were standing in the hallways with signs saying, give them everything they want. Now, I'm gonna flow that into this meeting. Everybody has spoken. Well, not everybody has spoken. Some people have spoken. We need sewage, we need wastewater, we need this, we need that. Well, why would we be so heavy to put that in if we're gonna drive them away with a higher tax base? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And I will be voting against it, and I'll be staying with the single tax rate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I actually stand with Mr. Vino. I will not be voting for this evening. There are a few reasons. Somebody mentioned special interests earlier. In my opinion, there isn't really special interest in this case. They are just interests. There's one pie. Everybody wants their fair piece. Another reason is I don't feel that the savings outweigh the cost that it's going to cost the town. I was just looking through some things, and if you look at the median numbers that came up, for an industrial, actually I'll preface it by saying, a lot of the small business owners in the town of North Reading are residents of the town of North Reading. Therefore, they're going to get hit a little bit harder as residents than they would if they weren't. An average industrial property owner who owns an average home is going to be taxed $3,330 on their business, and they're going to be given $145 on their tax on their home, and that comes to a cost to the business owner of $3,185. The same goes for the commercial property owner, who's going to lose about $1,600, and then for the personal property owner, $63, and it just goes that way. I don't know. I don't feel it's the right time to do this, especially with the economy being as it is. And I don't know. Maybe once the sewer kicks in and we have more of an attraction to larger businesses or any kind of larger commercial district we can make, maybe it'd be a good idea then. But for now, this is our only incentive to attract businesses to our community. And I'm going to be voting with Mr. Vino against this.
Thank you, Mike. I assume that you're
Just please
staying
have
out
the
of this
record show
debate.
that I will not be participating in the deliberations of the board.
First of all, I'd like to, before I make my comments, I'd like to thank everybody that has attended this evening, both business owners and residents. Special thanks to the Fiscal Advisory Committee and our assessors for their efforts in providing the audience and the board with as much detail and facts as possible. I ran for Selectman, this is my second term, with some goals in mind. And those goals were centered around trying to improve the efficiencies within town government and with dealing with growing our commercial base. We've had a lot of opportunities over the past few years, and I center on the Berry property. As a result of economic conditions, we made a compromise. I think it was a good compromise because in the process of putting the 406 apartments there, we eliminated our 40B issue, at least for the time being. There's still a prime piece of property there, and it's in the town's best interest to find the appropriate commercial developer to come in there and develop that property. Making a change in the tax rate at this point sends the wrong message. If we're trying to develop and grow our commercial base, that's not the way to do it. It's also been mentioned that we need sewers. And that's something that is absolutely essential to help also grow the commercial base. If you look at the responsibilities of the board, and I kind of resent something that was said earlier about if we couldn't answer why we would vote for or against, then we were tied into special interests. I've served this community since 1971, and I don't think anyone can accuse me of being tied into